out to why it's awesome being an LGBTQ ally.
Hold on.
It's not. It's not on, honey.
One moment, please.
My technical difficulties.
The icebreaker has no credibility. Why should we know that?
I guess it's on, but I'm not going to get signal if we're not hearing anything. So this is going great. Someone at the door.
Huh?
Sounded like it.
Hello.
We're not playing that game.
I'm just gonna do this.
Improvising.
Feedback.
I'm just going to turn the mic off.
Hi. Hey everyone, thank you for coming out to why it's awesome being an LGBTQ ally at 8 o'clock on Friday night in the PAX. I hope you all had a really awesome day. I know you're probably exhausted by now, so I really appreciate you sticking around to come see us. My name is Farough. I'm a token straight on this lovely panel. And I'm a freelancer. You may have seen me on National or Team Leader or a few other places. I also have been a long time helper of Take This, which you might know from the AFK room at this convention. So if you're ever feeling overwhelmed, you can go there and redeem the song. And obviously I have that, and I've been very much. But now I want to introduce these people that introduce themselves. So let's get going.
Hey all, I'm Tanya DePass. I started at University and I'm the director of that nonprofit organization. Let's see, I actually read my own fun facts. So I'm a huge Bible nerd, as evidenced by the innocent of honey. I did take a week off to play Dragon Inquisition. That is not a joke. I'm sorry, I'm like leaning over to read my own fun facts. I was born 3 weeks early, so I have this incredible scar from liver surgery as a baby. And I speak 3 languages, which are English, Japanese, and Spanish. I stream on Twitch, and actually I'm streaming this panel from my phone right now. So thank you, lovely Wendy in front. And I'm an only child, so I don't know what that says about me.
I'm with you. I am too.
I think that means it's my turn. My name is Farough. I am the resident Canadian here, token Canadian. There's another one. Yay! Yay, welcome. Hooray, I'm not alone. So, fun facts about me. I founded a web design agency at 23. I got a couple kids. I'm also polyamorous. Yay! The other one's sitting right there. I have a soft spot for tactical RPGs. Right? Right. And I love to bake.
I'll bake you things.
Hi, I'm Johnathan Gibbs. I am the founder of Edugaytion, which is a website and a long-running podcast. I've been on about 60 episodes over the span of 2 to 3 years. That focuses on LGBTQ issues with a focus or a lens on people of color. Currently, I'm with I always mess this up, Big Apple Performing Arts, which is the umbrella organization for the New York City Gay Men's Chorus, where we do a lot of activist work through singing. And what else do I need to tell you about myself? The games, I'm a Final Fantasy 3. And I like Final Fantasy 15, not the second half. And that's it.
Okay, it's me. Hi, I'm Sabriel Nelson. I am a social media specialist and support for LeBoeuf. It's an Overwatch statistics site, if you know it. I also have some swag here, if you know the site.
Ooh.
Thank you, Overwatch, yeah. Some fun facts about me. I am a former Derby girl. I can't read the small text very well. Let's see. Oh, I am a dungeon mistress, or DM, as most people call you. Every Wednesday night and usually Sunday afternoon, I DM for a number of people. Someone help me out.
Tell me about these steaks. I want to know about the steaks.
Yeah.
About what?
Your incredible steaks.
Oh God, I have a master or a mistress of cooking steaks in the last couple of years. I'm very proud of my work. So if you're ever in North Dakota, if you're ever in Fargo, come here and visit, and I will feed you.
We do.
Yep, you're right.
Hi, I'm Tatjana. I'm bisexual. I actually came out on this series of panels 2 years ago. Someone in the audience shared a story of like having a positive experience being gay in the gaming industry, and I was like, no, fuck it, you're coming out. Bye, guys. nervous, so that actually helped me like come out and be comfortable with myself, and that's why I really love doing this panel with you guys every year. I love Sailor Jupiter. It's my favorite Sailor Scout. I was always freakishly tall as a child. I'm 5'11", if you guys haven't seen me stand up, which I love and hate at the same time. But I always felt like the outcast, so like Sailor Jupiter was like my safe like place to go. I play Final Fantasy 14 all day, every day. When it's under maintenance, I basically cry and I rock back and forth in my chair, and then I go to Final Fantasy 11 and I hate myself. And I also have a cat named Tanya, and she's fluffy and I love her.
Aww.
She's the best.
Was Jupiter the one that had the best lunches?
Yes.
I would want to be her friend.
Mike sharing like Republic Micers.
Okay, so we're talking about how to be a good ally today, so let's start with the obvious question. How do people like me be better allies?
Where do straight people at? Okay, so you came to learn how to be a better ally for us, right? I think we should probably just talk about those things that are in our little introductory slides, and I'll go first. So the thing that I want people to know about, I guess if you are straight and you're looking at now we're just saying queer people, the Q, or LGBTQ, realize that, it's not just, we're not just one lump, right? Like there's so much going on in the communities and even in just one section, and I can only speak for the gays, but trust me, there's a whole lot of stuff going on within the gay community, and so you just can't say, oh, the gays think this, the gays would like this, the gays don't like this kind of thing. I wanted to make it a point to bring up this story that happened back in 2015 in Chelsea, New York, at a Dallas BBQ's restaurant. Some people got drunk, and a guy hit another guy over the head with a chair, and the news ran the story as towering black man hits two white gays over the head and gives them a concussion, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And so councilmen in New York threw these rallies, and it's, I can't believe this is happening in our neighborhood, it's a hate crime, et cetera, et cetera. Come to find out, the guy that did the assault was also a gay man. Come to find out, he didn't start it, and 2 years later, he's now doing 9 years in prison for something that someone else started. So, we have our own infighting, and so I don't like it when we lump all the gays together and think that it's just a monolith and that there aren't things that are happening in the rest of the world in the gay community. Does that make sense, or am I just ranting?
Makes total sense. If I could go next. First and foremost, don't call yourself an ally. That is performative. That is not something you get to call yourself. That is something someone can say you are doing. If you're going to do the work, do it. Do not brag. Do not try to get ally cookies, as I like to call them. But also, don't doubt someone's orientation. I too am bisexual, and I'm very, very tired of, oh, well, it's a phase, or you don't know what you want, you're really a lesbian, you just haven't figured it out yet. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure I know what I am. So, everyone's orientation is real, and that is not your call to make.
I'm welcome next to the other bisexual. The weird perceptions of bisexualism, is that the right bisexuality? Bisexuality. I flew in at 5 o'clock this morning. It's not a real sexual orientation. Yes, it is. And again, it's just a phase where you can just be bisexual because you kissed a girl in college. I went to college in Santa Barbara and San Luis Obispo, and I did experimenting, I guess, but I knew I was bisexual. And the problem was these girls, really tug at you and be like, oh yeah, I want to date you, I want to do this, and you're like, oh okay, then you go to kiss them, even something simple. They're like, why would you do that? Didn't you say you were bi? I liked it. Sorry, but it's things like that where you have to really, if you have questions about it, I would feel more comfortable. Me personally, if you just asked, because bisexuality is, I guess it can be confusing, because there are different spectrums. Like some people do tend to lean more towards men or women. For me, this is gonna sound really weird, but I almost have like a mood. Like sometimes I just want to be with a woman and I want to be the one at the text protects them, or I want to be with a man and I want to be the one that's protected. And it's, don't ever assume that, they're fucking the booze. And that's another thing. We're not slutty people. We don't, don't feel like your relationship, if you're in a heterosexual relationship, they're, threat, like they're just gonna screw everyone or steal everyone. And that to me is like really important because it not only, pushes more the stereotypes, but it also kind of gets at our confidence too. We're scared to be open with you about who we really are. And that's not nice. Don't do that.
So some of you came out as trans, hidden fact, but for whatever reason I have repressed a lot of emotions about it. And so I retold the whole room and everyone was like, yeah, you rule. And I was like, thank you. But so trans, an important thing is let me be the one who outs myself. I've had a number of situations where former coworkers or family members or whatever will tell people, like, oh, this is Bree and she's trans. Oh, and by the way, she's blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, why? Why are you doing this? Because you don't know, tell someone, you don't know how that person's going to react. And if you're not there for it, and all of a sudden they know you're trans and you never told them, it's kind of scary. Like, you don't know how they feel or if they're going to try to find you in some secret area here. So just, in short, let me out myself. Even if it's in a situation where the fact that I'm trans is why we're meeting. It's my thing to do.
So being ally, you listen more than you talk. It means that you don't lead with your personal narrative. And if you screw up, and you will screw up, I screw up all the time. Don't apologize and next time. And asking questions is really important, but not necessarily get an answer. Some have been, asked a ton of questions about their sexuality, about how they present themselves in the world. While we are all fighting to be understood, sometimes is one question too many. So if they don't answer, reflect, hey, that's what the internet's just understand that sometimes it's really hard talking about this. Especially if, we're asked a lot of those questions all the time.
I want to ask a question to that. So where's the responsibility on our end and on their end, and where can we find common ground? Personally, for me, I like when people ask questions, but I would expect anybody that's asking me questions to kind of address it with, let me know that they're not trolling me, or because I spend a lot of time on Smite on Xbox Live, and when the little loading frame comes up, shout out to high-risk games, it allows you to put a rainbow thing. And so with someone and they're like, yay, and I'm like, I'm 32 years old. These little kids. First of all, I'm very confident. I'm like, yes, I am. Do you have any? And then they're like, well, what do you do? I work for a shipping company, and I'm an analyst for them by day, and I sing in the New York City gay men's. They have gay choruses? Where do you live? In Illinois, where you have one too. It's called the Chicago Gay Men's Chorus. So I hear the wonder in their voice, and it's like, I understand that, and no shade to mid-America, but I understand that these are people that are not on the coastlines in the places where you have communities, and so they're kind of fascinated, as opposed to someone being like, you're gay, do you have AIDS? Really, first of all, I'll talk about that a little later. I don't want to hog the mic, but I have a point to make on that later. So my question is, do we have a responsibility to at least let people know, I'm a question, as opposed to being like, that's what the internet's for, because it kind of create a rift, I think.
No, and I totally understand that. I prefer the questions myself. Not everyone is necessarily that if you're leading with compassion and sensitivity when you're asking questions, it's more conducive to an open conversation rather than
I actually kind of have a story on that. When I was 14 years old, and I had a friend who I considered one of my best friends growing up. We're no longer friends anymore, but when I came out as bisexual, it was the you could put your orientation on. I wasn't interested in it. It was just your orientation, and she guilted me into giving her my MySpace password so she could change it back to straight, and made me feel bad about it. And she'd ask all these questions like, "Oh, that girl's wearing a low-cut shirt. Does that, arouse you or whatever?" And it was just repeated over and over and over again. And I actually am ashamed of being sexual for so many years, and it wasn't until we came out, I guess, that I felt good about it.
It's 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock this morning. What was your question? Yeah. No, what was the question?
I would jump in and take the L on come back to questions. So I'm on Twitter probably way too much for my own good. But a lot of times on Twitter and Tumblr, people ask questions, but it's hard to tell them they have good faith. Because if someone honestly is questioning and they want to know, maybe they're younger or something like that, it's all in how people ask. For me, I get a little tired of questions, but it's also because I get questions on a lot of other things in my daily work. So I'm going to be the contrarian asshole on this panel. I know it's past 8, I'm going to cuss, deal with it. Because a lot of people ask questions and they don't actually have an answer. They just want to ask you a question just to ask a question, waste your time. So it's a skill to figure out when someone is being genuine and when they really want to know versus someone that's just invading your inbox just to be that person. And as for me, I had a high school story of trying to be out, trying to be bisexual. Not trying to be bisexual, I am bisexual. But trying to be out, and I had a friend that just was horrified by this idea, and I think a lot of it was, upbringing and religion. And she was just, it wasn't like, oh, well, you're gay, I can kind of see that, but it was also, but you like both. What do I do with this? And so it's hard because a lot of people, and I've had the experience from a very young age of, this isn't real, you just are confused. And so I got very leery of questions. I got very leery of, people that may have had perfectly good intent, but when you get burned so many times, you're just like, you know what, not today, I can't answer this question. Or you let it sit in your inbox so long and kind of go, oh, it's been a month, I'm just going to pretend I never got that question.
I think a good thing would be to do is just start with, may I ask you some questions? And then we can open it up there. So if I'm not in the mood, just like, no, you're on your own. But just ask me. Do you really have a question?
Speaking to that particular, yes, not necessarily a question, something to share.
Well, can I be that person now that you hold your question until later if it's a comment?
I don't know, it's my fault. Well, we'll continue on later. But yeah, just ask if you can ask some questions. And then let us decide if we want to answer you.
I remember that person that made me feel. She would again ask all these details of the situation. It was like her birthday party, a hot tub, and I had breast reduction at the age of 16. I had a little rail with 36 Fs. I was going to get scoliosis. Oh yeah, I know that exactly. And this was before my breast reduction surgery. Rolling in the hot tub, and everyone wanted to take their tops off, and I didn't. So I kind of left and started to cry. And so instead of asking what was wrong, it was like, oh, is it because everyone's got their boobs out or bisexual? You don't want to tell them. It's, for me, what I've learned now that I'm older, when people ask those really douchey, abrasive questions, just turn around and ask the same shit. Just be like, dick, when's the last time you had sex? Do you like sucking dick? I'm a dick in that, I'm a bitch in that way. I just like to be a rude, abrasive person back because some of these honestly, they just need it takes of their own medicine, and it sounds really messed up, but they don't hear themselves sometimes, and they think it's cool to ask these questions. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be in the nose.
The edge.
Yeah.
I don't have time for it.
It's turn around and like I ask them the same question back and try to make it as graphic and offensive as possible. Because then they're like, oh, shit.
That's kind of my tactic, is like when they ask questions but I know they're genuine, I'll tell them the whole truth. But I want to go back to what Tanya was saying. You know, we're human. So some days we feel like doing it and sometimes we don't. I'm talking about asking me questions, you all doing it. So one day I posted, and this goes back to the fact that this is an ally panel. I posted, and I don't even think this was about LGBTQ, it was about me answering your questions about my community. And me being in the organization I am, which is a majority of Caucasian people, I get all sorts of questions about simply the color of my skin and my culture. So one day I posted on Facebook as a status, I'm tired of being your magical Negro. I don't want to answer questions about the Black community. That's what Google is for, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Hold on. Because it gets better. Also in that status, it's 5 this morning. I said something about like, something, and then someone that was an ally to me went up in the comments and was like, well, you don't need to be biting back at your allies this way, blah, 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 blah. I said, sir, you are doing exactly what I said not to do in the actual status update. Not how you acted now, God.
He will post screenshots. He will take screenshots from the same thread and reply to you and show you exactly where you fucked up. So don't.
I have them all.
He's got like the biggest. I like
the computer that I use for regular stuff, and this is the for the screenshots. It's true.
That's aggressive.
So yeah, just the point. Sometimes we want to answer questions, sometimes we don't. I think you need compassion. We should see and understand genuine places where sometimes there's just for me, I cut them off.
Situation, you're asking someone about a health issue. You know, don't take this and lessons. Asking about the past, or if you have someone that's depression or anxiety, don't force them to tell you what their triggers are going through. Just ask them what you can do to help them out or make them feel better. And that's in, I think, most situations, this situation, any other. So think of it that you can use for more than just this.
We did talk this a little bit, but more about what the couple and make.
Oh, can I take this? So, I talk about issues, I talk about race issues, something like that. I will get white people usually, but other LGBT folks will go. They take whatever I've said and then try to turn around and show other people. Really, you're not original words, and two, trying to shame other people with the words of a marginalized person performing bullshit. And that's not how. Like you were really out here reaching for a cookie. And so one day I got really fed up and I found a picture of a cookie and I was like, here's your cookie for the day. Save this. The next time you feel like retweeting someone or tweeting at someone going, but I gave to the ACLU, I gave to fill in the blank or HRC or whatever, but not like Human Rights Coalition, HRC. That I don't care. In that moment that I'm talking about being a black woman, a black queer woman at that moment, I don't care. I'm going to tell you I don't care. Your feelings will get hurt. And also recentering yourself and derailing. So let's say if Saber and I are talking on Twitter about something, and someone jumps in with, but I have a trans cousin, or I've got a black friend, and they're queer, and it's like, again, I don't care. And I know that I hurt people's feelings. Guess what? I don't care. But what that does is called derailing. It is taking the conversation and focusing it on you when you are not the subject, and you're taking attention away from the person who's speaking, usually somebody who is marginalized. So those are two things that people, and sometimes people don't realize they're derailing. They actually not doing it with malicious intent. Other times they are, and that is called a straw man. I have a whole deck of slides I them on your phone and go, nope, straw man, nope, you're right. But those are two things that people often do, and they think they're being so very helpful when they're actually just inserting themselves in a conversation they do not need to be in. What they can do is not repackage the words of someone who's marginalized, but go, you know what, you are wrong. Just kind of go in, take the L for their friend and go, they were not talking to you, maybe you should be quiet. And if they block you, oh well, deal with it because you're earned that block.
I'll go back to that subject that I was talking about because I feel like the person, back on your allies, in his mind, he really does think, and Tanya, you can help me with what he was doing, like the word for it, but he thinks that he's helping me or that he's being my savior with his actions every day, but in reality, he's not paying attention to what I'm talking about, what my needs are, specifically who I am within the context of the LGBTQ, because like I said, it's a big section of the and I don't know. I guess never assume. I don't know. I can't answer this question, but I feel like there's something there.
When someone goes, you're gonna lose an ally, and I'm like, peace out, bye. Because if you are truly going to call yourself an ally, which again you shouldn't, but if someone says, hey, you're a cool ally, you should not come with conditions. You should not come with, be nice to me, hold my hand, be Google for me. Because I have to start responding with my PayPal link, and fuck you, pay me, and Google is free.
No, right. I think that's because people that I know that are really good at asking questions and then saying, hey, I didn't mean to offend, but I was genuinely serious when I asked you this. There's a person on Twitter that I'm friends with, and actually sitting in the back there, who would ask, yeah, I was laughing. And he would ask me questions about any number of things. And at first I thought he was being a fucking troll. And I was like, who the hell is this guy? And then I got to know him online, and then he came over to New York, and he's from the UK. And as you show your human side and show that you too have emotions and go out on being wrong, then they put it all the way. You're just a horrible person, and you're it already happened. Maxine Waters. Maxine Waters.
Part of your because no. Do not ask me if I love being in one. Don't ask me if I want to be in yours. Just don't fucking do it. Stop it.
What if I want you to be with me somehow?
Can I ask you?
So specifically because they know you're bisexual, then don't.
Yeah. When I lived in Los Angeles, I didn't really have a lot of friends down there. I didn't know a lot of people. I was like, let me fish, and I was like, okay. And I actually made a couple friends on it, which was really cool. People I still talk to, but I had to kind of pick and choose. Okay, am I going to make my profile interested in women, or am I going to make it interested in men? Because if I ever did both, it was I did this orgy party with me and my wife, and we're like, no. Did it say orgy party? No. Did it say I wanted to do something? No. And that's always what it was. And I've never had a use for modern dating apps and stuff, but I've heard other bisexual people of both genders, using having that same issue, and it almost creates an unsafe environment because then again, bisexual people are afraid to come out, and what if they get into a dicey situation, rape can be a factor in that. That's scary as shit. What if you go on a date with someone that, you know, was kind of like poking at it, like, oh, maybe we'll give them a chance, and they ended up being shady. So like it pushes us back even further with being comfortable, because those unsafe situations do really happen. And don't think they don't, like they do. So.
You mentioned Plenty of Fish, and ran on complete tangent, but I have a question. Is there a female version of Grindr?
Her.
Her?
That's what's
Well,
called.
no,
Really?
kind of.
I mean, this is,
What was your question?
if there's a female version of Grindr, no, because I used Plenty of Fish in like 2011, maybe 2012. This was
I'm sorry, I didn't want to go down this. I just wanted to. So
No,
there is her. Okay.
I believe there are a number of them, but maybe not very successful. A number of attempts have been made.
Grindr just sounds so good. I was driving to the office. I live in Hayward, California, which is kind of as well from here. Okay, and like if you like look at San Francisco, I'm like 30 minutes like east. Are you sure? Oh, this is Grindr.
Yes, that's
But
what
there's-
a female version of this.
I don't think so. I wouldn't know.
You see all the people that are.
But what I'm saying is, I saw a billboard for something called sport.org, and it was kind of amusing, but kind of interesting at the same time. It was just like, my place or yours. And it was just like pictures of like gay couples, and it was very interesting. Have you heard of sport.org?
Wait, what?
Sport.org. I saw a billboard for sport.org in the office. On computed like road,
What
sport.org.
are the qualifications? Like, don't you have to have?
Yeah, look at that.
Don't you have to
I'm
have?
telling you, sport.org.
To be a dog
I got
board,
this.
don't you have to
You
like
can't
have
go.
an organization?
No, she found it.
What's yours?
That's the thing that happened on my phone.
Oh, okay, she doesn't want to say the name because it's probably freaky.
Yeah,
Joking.
but I mean, like stuff like sport.org and like Grindr, they sound good, so then they're like, oh, how do we make this a girl version? I don't know. I mean, I guess that's sexist in a way, but it's any top Grindr that just.
Oh, so it's oh, but gay and bi.
Oh, it's gay and bi.
Well then, we are
So
going down.
back to the
Sorry.
back to the threesome and orgy thing. When you announce that you're poly, a number of people are like, "Oh, hi, cool, you want to join?" Like, no, like poly is not swinger. Not that there's anything wrong with that either. It's just people have this image in their heads. I have so many people tell me, like when I describe how I have a wife and a girlfriend, they're like, "Oh wow, your threesomes must be amazing." Like, no, those two have no interest in being in the same room in that manner at all. And I don't know why these people think it's orgy every night when you're poly. I mean, maybe for some people it is, but not for me.
Yeah, because the other thing I get with bisexual is that, you know, if you have a partner of one gender, then you must have the other actually be bisexual. And I'm just like, look, I can keep up with one person right now. So I don't know what time you think people have to go out and have. I mean, and yes, I know poly exists. Lovely friend here. But, you know, it's just an assumption of, well, if you're dating a dude, then you can't actually be bisexual. And I'm like, no, that's not how that works. Attraction is not turned off and on based on who you're dating. So that's one thing that really has bothered me, because a lot of people just make the assumption, or if I am dating a woman, then it's like, well, you're not really bisexual because you're with a woman. And I'm like, again, words mean things. This is not how this works.
Otherwise, I have one more final thing about being trans. I don't know if it's just me or if this is common for others, but I have had a number of straight women ask me if they're real. I'm like, yes, they are. And they'll, may I touch them? Like, no! Like, what makes you think this is, a thing?
I say like the next people think they can touch my hair.
I was like, oh yeah, no, you can't touch them, but they're real, yes.
So again, very into like lady personal chemical reads. I don't know if you've all seen the news lately, but it kind of sucks out there. And it's just really not a good time in this community. So how are you coping with this whole environment? And again, what can we do to help?
Just keep on doing the good work that you're doing. If you're a part, join an organization, be more visible. I sing, so I'm in a singing organization. I see Shane is back there, and he's been in documentaries for gamers and things, and he runs a ring in New York City for gamers. So join a club, join something that shows who you are and normalizes it for the rest of the world. And so they vote with more compassion in the future.
I still volunteer in diversity liaison for GameRex. So for anyone who's not been to GameRex, it's an LGBT-focused gaming conference or convention, I should say. But also I am out my sexual in my profile. I'm not hiding who I am, and I have no shame in going to have someone that wants to fight with me about it because I'm already wondering. So that's just an extra way to get on my bad side. But I'm out. I'm proud of it, and that is the way that I'm being resistant. And just being present, because a lot of people are scared right now. And being present is like, you know what? If things are hard, I can take that for you, because a lot of people are scared to be out there. There are a lot of people I know is locking their Twitter accounts that are LGBT, that are non-binary, that are gender variant, and they just don't feel safe in this current climate. Especially when you have a president that apparently likes to argue on Twitter with constituents. So I'm present and I'm speaking, and that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to be more visible. I want people to know, like, I'm here for you. I'm always here to talk if you ever want to. But any of your issues or anything related to trans or any other subject, I might be able to help with, even stakes. But I'm just trying to be more visible and make sure people know I'm here as a resource as well.
Angel's like really nice and like really easy to talk to, and you cannot feel bad about yourself when you talk to her. It is physically impossible, so you should follow her on Twitter and talk to her because she's cool.
Yeah, the only thing I complain about on Twitter, I think, is the snow in Farough. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay, so things are a little different in Canada. Just a little different. So when I'm here, it's challenging because it's not just that I'm transsexual, it's that I am also polyamorous. And that's also something that people tend to overblow as, I'm in a relationship with 3 other people. I'm married, and people get really fucking confused. They're like, I'm sorry, what? What are you doing? And then I come here to visit the other side of my family, and I have to come to the realization that it's a very different atmosphere here. And the best thing that I can do is to continue to support the organizations, even as someone who's foreign. And I signal boost as much as I can and stay active. And I'm recently out. This is something that's really, really, really new to me, like December new to me. So yeah, no, this is real new. Yeah, I think this is new, but the out thing is. So I would echo, even if you don't live here, even if you are from somewhere else, signal boost, follow the people on Twitter that are doing the work here that needs to be done. And even though we obviously can't vote here, support with money, truly. That makes all the difference.
I just want to respond to myself about being, I'm sorry, that sounds very self-centered, but because you made me think about this, I said join an organization and do this. I see young people in the room, and maybe don't everybody look for the young people. I see them here. And so maybe you're not comfortable with being out enough to be in an organization right now. That's all in your own time. It's a big thing that we talked about on my podcast was never pulling someone out of the closet or forcing them to be in the spotlight. So I just wanted to respond and say, within your own time, become an activist, do the work when you're ready.
So we're going to take some questions from the audience. If you all want to line up at that microphone over there.
Guy with the hat, you had a question?
Quick question for you guys. Where do you find things have changed in the gaming community in the last decade or so? I took a hiatus, and in that time came out with a whole bunch of different things and super intersectional, and came back to the gaming community, and things still seem just as shitty. What do you guys think?
Oh, I have so many thoughts.
I think there's a lot of different angles, and I think a lot of it depends on what game you're playing. And this is like my friend Dave right there, who's that pretty boy right there. We've been playing Final Fantasy 11, Final Fantasy 14 with each other since I was 13 years old. Dave's known me that long, unfortunately for him. But Final Fantasy 11, like it wasn't as open, but 14. Everyone, at least on our server on Excalibur, everyone seems like super open about their sexuality and like everyone just plays together really well. You get the occasional, asshole, but in terms of like that game at least, it's actually like for the most part opened up to be a pleasant experience. Play on Excalibur, don't play Gilgamesh for long. Thank you.
Very exhaustive.
I just wanted to say, one thing to remember is that the shittiest people are also the loudest. So, like, some people suck. Like, it just sucks. But if you, find a good community, because the people who are good aren't the ones, like, yelling on Twitter or saying horrible things. And so, find a good community, and whatever kind of game you do, find a good, like, Twitter feed, just find the right people. And it's not. This might be ignorant of me to say, but I just feel like the shittiest people talk the loudest. So when I remember that, it makes me feel a little better about like some of the toxic culture we're experiencing.
I also want to respond. We have 4 people in line, but we have 18 minutes, so I think we can, we have time. But, so I didn't do a lot of online gaming like 10 years ago, but I'm doing it now, and I am seeing young people, or hearing young people in my ear, because in parties, coming up with all of these crazy kinds of things to say in games. I play, as I mentioned earlier, I play Smite, which is a MOBA, kind of like League of Legends or anything. You know what I'm talking about. So Smite. When they see the team composition of another team, like our opposing team, a common phrase that I'm hearing lately is, "Oh God, this team is AIDS," or "Oh God, this team is cancer." That is unacceptable, and I let people know that immediately. And I'll leave the party and I will not play with them, and then we'll all get penalized. But I let people, I'm very firm, that is unacceptable language, and so you just have to, if you're ready, then you approach it in that way now. I don't know what it was like 10 years ago, but it's unacceptable in this day.
It sounds like it was worse 10 years ago, so I'm really glad to hear things.
In Final Fantasy 14, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, you only need one other person in the 4-person party to vote kick, right? Does it just have? Yeah. So you can actually, if you've done it, I've done it several times. You can vote kick for if they're offline AFK harassment or cheating. I can't tell you how many times if someone has made me or anyone else uncomfortable, you vote kick, you literally only need one other person. So if it's like someone that you know, like my roommate will do them, like, vote kick, but do it. So it's really easy to actually in that game get rid of like the toxicity, which is nice.
I think there's one more thing. I don't know if it has gotten better or if we have more places to go to vent or to talk to someone about things like that. I kind of feel like things have gotten a little bit better in the last 10 years, but I have more friends and more like other women and other trans women I can go to because we're all in a community now and we aren't afraid to talk to each other, or we will get together so we can just have a communal rant session. And I think that's more common these days than it used to be.
Hi, I'm a middle school teacher, and I'm one of the co-sponsors of our school Gay Straight Alliance. And so I was wondering if you had any suggestions for PG-13, any kind of LGBTQ media, TV shows, movies, comic books, video games.
Supergirl.
Supergirl's good when you don't agree with me.
I just have nothing to
Truly the Vampire Slayer is what he said, because I know all the gays love them.
All the gays
I just said I wish people would stop assuming I don't love them, but the Vampire Slayer.
Wait, what?
I don't, I'm sorry. This is not a Bubby panel, okay.
For real.
Tracer. Zarya and I are going to be going out later. So.
Characters are There's the new character where she's like openly autistic, I think, as well.
Yep.
I've never played Overwatch, I'm really sorry.
It's okay. I'll have to correct it.
Thank you so much.
Hi, so I am a very open and very proud bisexual woman, and I'm also really into doing stuff like community management and things like that, and I am in the process of trying to get, basically, I want to start a community that people can feel welcome. I want for LGBT people dealing with mental illness, and I would love to be somebody who can start making a more healthy environment, because I also play MOBAs. I play League of Legends, and I know that the community is wonderful when it comes to that, and I also play Overwatch, but I want to be able to provide a more inclusive, welcoming environment that would be a nice change of pace. And I was wondering if you guys happen to have any advice on how to go about something that is kind of saturated with a lot of negativity, knowing that I'm probably going to be putting targets on my back, dealing with trolls, and just gross people. How can I try to help and show that, regardless of people that are going to come in, this is going to be a fun, inclusive space where we can have fun, get salty together, and not deal with nasties.
Where are you pulling the people from?
I'm sorry?
Where are you pulling the people for this community from? That's a cool question. But.
I guess just social media in general, just trying to like pump it out there of like, yo, I'm going to be streaming video games every now and again on Twitch or doing things on YouTube or things like that. I want you guys to feel like that you have a fun space that you can watch video games and not worry about like gritting your teeth and bearing it as somebody's being gross.
If you want to start on a small scale, this is like kind of a relevant example. I just started it's called Slack. It's like it's free to use. I started we're a wrestling household, we watch WWE all the time. So I wanted to start like a big group chat, but I didn't want it to be like everyone can join. So what you can do is you can make that channel for free and have as many people, but you have to send them like the invite via email so you can control like who's going in until you do get like a lot bigger, and then you can do like a premium service. You can pay for it or whatever, and have people donate, and then people just kind of come in. But I think that's actually just, from what I've experienced just with that, it's a really good way to control who's in and who's out, and like you can get different channels and stuff. And I think that's where I would start personally. I hope that helps. I'm maybe not understanding the question.
And also, sorry.
No, go ahead.
And also, diverse gaming lists and a few Tumblr spaces that are devoted to diversity. They have an opt-in list of people who stream, and they try to build a community. So I will give you my card when we're done. And there are now communities on Twitch. The only drawback is you can only be in one community at a time. But I would say if you have a Twitch channel, try to start a positive space, get moderators, and also be willing to kick people out. Drop the code of conduct for your space. Have people that will enforce it. And I'm going to pitch my own panel because why not? I'm actually doing a panel Sunday on streaming safe ways. So if anyone is concerned with putting themselves out there as queer, as a person of color, as a female identified person, we are going to give tips about how to do that safely.
If you are streaming and assuming Twitch, I think today Twitch announced they're doing their own Slack/Discord/Curse client today. So Twitch may have some built-in integrated thing you can use very soon if it's not already.
Thank you so much.
I just want that, like, I have some experience in community management, and I would have to say that the Tanya said that you need to have, like, very clear rules, like, this is what we will not tolerate. And, yeah, if you are doing something on Twitch, then you need to have, like, someone who trusts in the comments, moderating when you're getting vice versa and stuff. You just need to, like, make sure someone is looking out for all of that, and, like, that you have very clear guidelines, not just, for other people to see, but when you're like in the moment and you're just like, is this bad? Like, should I ban this person? You can just look to your own thing. You're like, you know what? It was clearly outlined in the rules. I'm not overreacting. Goodbye.
All right, thank you guys so much.
Don't be afraid to drop that down.
I will bring it down.
Hi, it's really nice to meet all you guys and have you doing this panel. I have a question. I am working on making games, mostly for my own personal D&D game, but also I am working on making my own video games. And as an ally who wants to diversify the cast of his games, but not having the experience myself to draw on, what do you guys have that you think are good resources to just have that conversation about everyone's experience to help diversify the games I want to make? Because obviously, like, not you guys probably don't like the question all the time of, hey, tell me about your life experience as an LGBTQIA member.
Get a diversity consultant and pay them. And I'm not trying to be harsh, that is reality, but when you're asking for the work, it's emotional work. I will also give you my card, and this is not just to have people pay me, this is, if you're trying to make a game, whether it be for your tabletop, whether it be for a video game, and you want to do better, know that you cannot tell that story as well. Find someone, make it worth their time, and if you have the money to pay them, be upfront, be very ready for no. Also, do your basic research first before you come to someone. Google is free. It is your friend. Do basic research. I want to do X. Your phone. May I have your time? What is your going rate? Should you need the question in your email? If it's not, don't let it.
Hello. I want to preface my question by saying that if it comes across or perceives as being very aggressive, it's definitely not my intention. It's been perceived and I've been given that feedback before. So I work in a family resource center, and I'm also a mom with 2 kids, and I'm also bisexual and polyamorous, and so I've had a lot of challenges both in my personal life as a mom and just as a human person. And so what I'm now struggling with is I have a child who has atypical gender tendencies, and when he expressed those in the public school system, they did not handle that very well. So right now I'm in a one-woman fight taken out of the school system to try and normalize things that right now are actually banned based on permission slips and things for sexual education in 1st grade. Things like books that encourage or include same-sex parents or kids that want to wear a dress and stuff like that. So I'm asking any and all people that I can who are active in the community and who are trying to educate allies, what are you doing or what can you be doing in your community or larger to focus on either parents and having and encouraging those parents to get involved with kids' schools that they're involved with, or to support younger groups than kind of more of the average age or cohort that we have right here to impact that this doesn't become a continual vicious loop with these panels still happening in 20 years because people are only looking at our current issue and not the next generation's issues.
Okay, well, I feel like I should take this because I'm the mom. So, what am I doing? Well, I'm raising a couple of kids in a household that is, my husband is bisexual and I'm pan, and they will grow up with this. It's be totally normal for them. And by, making sure that we are including this conversation with their friends, if their friends have questions or what have you, and we're not hiding. So I think by continuing to normalize it in our lives and by not pulling the curtain, just because it's like, oh God, they're children. No, they're as we know, kids are super perceptive and they're really smart and they're insightful and they'll get it. I mean, they may not fully get it, but they'll get it. So being open with our kids and having our kids help to create that next generation of spaces, I mean, those barriers are going to continue to fall and fall and fall. And I don't think we're going to need to have this conversation again in 20 years because we will be educating our children who will educate their friends, not even intentionally, but just by sharing stories and being like, hey, this thing happened. And their friends are like, wait, what? That's a thing? How was that thing? So, yeah, that's for me.
I'm going to have to get your contact information after this because I can't think of the author or the title, but there's a lady, it's a friend, my friend's mom, who does a series of books for young people and deals with all sorts of issues that you're mentioning about kids growing up in today's world and being fluid and showing atypical gender tendencies, and so how to deal with that. They're little picture books, and they're for kids, but they're also for adults.
Yeah, and I'm constantly looking to build a library for that because right now in Massachusetts, schools can deny those books
books in classrooms and use the regulation around sex education as an excuse to do that. My son's school is actively doing that. And again, I can't stress enough, that question of what are you guys doing is more I'm looking for more examples of what people are doing, and I want everyone in this room to hear what you guys are doing, because people who don't have kids maybe don't even realize that this is a thing that's happening, because for them it was 20 years ago, or 25. But thank you very much.
That was a great question.
Thank you.
I feel like I'm going to speak very close to what the previous topic was. I'm somebody who tries to foster a place where people can play video games and still be able to talk about their LGBTQ problems, or, and again, I don't want to say it's a problem, but it's something that you want to be able to communicate about, and you don't have a resource where you can necessarily sit down and say, this is how I feel right now. So I'm really proud of what we've worked with so far, but you know, we're only about 30 strong right now, and it's great that we're a resource for local people in Boston at this point. And I really want to perpetuate the, I feel like the intelligence and the love that we have about this particular subject to more than 30 people. We want to have 100 people. We want to have, you know, 1,000 people if we could. But the fact that we can actually connect with 30 people is amazing. And we really do appreciate that. And I think at this point, we have a really healthy attitude about what we want to accomplish. And the fact that we do feel like we are we're a good community, we're a safe community for people to be able to talk about or, you know, communicate what they're going through. And just getting over that barrier. Like, do you have any advice that you have that we could reach out to maybe?
Well, that was long.
I'm sorry.
But I don't know what it's like on Twitch. I kind of know what it's like on YouTube because I used to do YouTube. I know who PewDiePie is, and I know what he represents, and you know all that. I don't see a lot of gamers, G-A-Y-M-E-R-S, represented neither on Twitch or YouTube. And if I'm old-fashioned and I just don't know who they are nowadays, then please direct me to them. But if every one of us in here who feels passionately enough to come to this panel became a beacon in our own communities and started our own YouTube channels and became more visible, then we would have more people. And it, you know, but I think that what's happening is in 2017 and past whatever year, we all think, okay, well now it's normal and I am who I am, and so I don't need to be a guiding light for anybody else. Well, in fact, there are people that are still kind of questioning, or, so to answer your question, what we can all collectively do is be more open if you're ready for it. And you know, YouTube channels are also free to start. Be on the front line.
We are almost out of time and we have 1 minute, but I just want to let you guys know we still want to answer questions and we can totally talk. And I want to take a picture of the fucking house. We're really fucking so proud. Hey, like, stand up, stand up. Your house is amazing. Yes. Let's try to get your question and then we will talk to you about that because we want to hear everyone.
So thankfully this question is kind of simple. I've been playing in League of Legends maybe for about 2 years, and there are a lot of jokes that people say that, you know. Yeah, so I'm curious, what are like other really famous, or like not famous, popular things that you would hear in jokes in games, in like mobile games that you think you should not be saying at all?
Raped. That team raped us, or we were raping that team. Unacceptable.
Triggered. Oh, this triggered me. Oh my god. That annoys me so much when someone says that. When they don't mean it.
Yeah.
It just makes me
using it as a troll, essentially.
What was the word?
Triggered.
Oh, yeah.
Pick any racial slur out of the dictionary, which is why I only multiplayer with people I actually know. And certain emotes. I can't think of a guy that plays like League of Legends or Hearthstone. He's like a black dude. People use his emote to troll black streamers.
Oh, on Twitch.
Yeah, I don't know his name, like, because that's not my jam, but people will start coming in my channel and using that. So things like that, where it's just like, really, don't you have like anything better to do with your time?
And I'm not sure if Farough is a thing. I'm still trying to research that, but.
And we are unfortunately out of time, but I just want to thank everybody again for coming. And thank you so much.
We are available to talk with you if you have questions. Anybody else too, we can just go on.
Just go right up there, there's walls and benches and stuff. And thank you for the review cases, like I recognize that we heard reviews, so thank you for coming.
No, thank